All right. Good morning, or I should say hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to this edition of the Live and Invest Overseas podcast. I am Kat Kalashian. I'm coming to you here from Paris. And on the line with us today, we've got Con Murphy, who you're in Ireland right now. Is that right, Con?
Yes, I am, Kat.
All right.
Thanks very much.
So we're not too far apart at the moment. But the reason that I've invited Con to come and speak with us today is because he's got a full travel calendar. He won't be in Ireland much longer. And I would love to hear. So here's Con's background. Con is the editor of our free weekly newsletter, Overseas Property Alert. Please sign up for it if you have any interest in investing, whether it's for business or for pleasure. For returns and profits or for your own use. Overseas Property Alert is a wonderful resource. It's, again, free. You'll get it into your inbox every week. And Con is the person who's setting up these emails for you. Usually he's writing them himself, or he's working with our other real estate scouts all over the world to bring you the newest, best opportunities that we have found all over the world. So, Con, I know you have a busy year scheduled, and I know it's kicking off this month, in fact, in Panama. Is that right?
Yes, I'm leaving for Panama in a week now, and I'll be spending about 10 days exploring the lesser-known parts of Panama. I mean, Panama has, for the last decade, 15 years, has consistently been ranked as the most desirable place to invest and retire for amongst all our readers. There's still plenty of places in Panama that really haven't been given any attention. People to date have been concentrating on 2 or 3 of the fixed areas in Panama, but Panama is a lot more than that. There's a lot more potential that hasn't been tapped in the northern parts of Panama. And there's areas that really no one has heard about yet. So I'll be over there with Leaf, and we're going to be exploring the up and coming spots, the spots that still have got a lot of appreciation potential, and the places that you can really make solid returns in Panama.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about these undiscovered markets. What is the reason that we feel that they're worth our attention right now?
It's just been these are the overlooked spots. There's parts on the Atlantic seaboard that have got some of the most beautiful beaches in Panama. That there's barely roads there at the moment. So we're going to be looking at areas with short-term capital appreciation potential, and a couple of areas that really there is no infrastructure there long-term capital appreciation places the government are only beginning to put the roads in now, and we know that it won't be a 2 or 3 year play. This will be a 5 or 10 year play, but areas that prices are rock bottom at the moment. But given how the prices have appreciated everywhere else in Panama, we can nearly guarantee in 10 years' time these places will have matured to the same level as the rest of Panama.
I've heard the term path of progress investment or a path of progress play. I've heard that often used in the past. Would you say that that's the kind of thing we're talking about here? We're just kind of getting in ahead of the curve?
Absolutely. I mean, this isn't speculative stuff here. By buying on the path of progress, we can see the areas around Panama City were the first to develop and prices to max out around Panama City. And then moving north and south in those directions, you can see how step by step the up and coming areas have matured, prices have gone up, prices have leveled off. But in other parts of Panama, not that far away, there's still places that have seen no price appreciation. You're buying jungle land at extremely low prices. But you can tell by the way progression and the building and the development is going, that in 2 and 3 and 5 years, there are certain areas that are just going to be enveloped by this modern development, and suddenly they'll have gone from zero development to being right in suburbs or being built up areas themselves. So they're
you said these are all on the north, right? And so that's the Caribbean, am I right? That's the coastline we're talking about.
Yes. Sorry, what did I say? Atlantic.
Oh no, I don't know what you said. I was just confirming that what we're talking about is the northern part of the country, because as you say, or I guess as you're saying, the northern part of the northern coastline of Panama is really pretty undeveloped in its entirety. There's Colón City, which is the other big city on the other side of the coast, and then there's Bocas del Toro, which is a bit of I'll say a hippie town, a bit of a Rastafarian town.
Yes,
And that's
but even Focus has appreciated an awful lot in the last few years, and there's towns right close by it which haven't. They've known
right.
they're, for want of a better word, we might call them, the ugly sisters. But these towns are going to be the next boom towns. So yes, we're looking forward to checking them all out, because
Excellent.
we know. Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll get a chance to see some of these with you. I'll be in Panama next month as well, a little bit after you will be. So, but maybe I'll manage to tag on for a couple of these scouting trips. On the other side of the Atlantic, though, you are also taking on Portugal and Montenegro.
Yes.
And so, when will you be headed to Portugal?
Portugal will be in April. In 2 months' time, it'll coincide around the time of the Portugal conference. But I will really be spending most of my time exploring once again, similar to how we were talking about in Panama. The Algarve, the large cities have experienced a boom over the last 5 and 6 years. Prices have gone up, nearly doubled in a lot of these areas. And they've received all the attention and all the investment. The golden visa rules have changed just there at New Year's, and who qualifies for golden visas and how you go about doing it, which now has shifted all the attention from the high density built up areas in Portugal, and now all the incentives are going for the low density non built up areas. And we can, so we'll be checking out the areas that qualify for these golden visa investments. We'll be doing our underground research on their prices. We'll be able to estimate by comparing prices in the built-up areas that had the golden visa boom to the areas that didn't receive any of this investment. We'll be able to project with reasonable accuracy future capital appreciation, and we'll just be able to find the areas that have been undeveloped until now, but now are going to see huge focus from international investors coming in, and we intend to be there 6 or 12 months before the word gets out. Now, this is why we do these scouting trips every year consistently. Me and the team, it's as we are there a year before word gets out in the mainstream press as to what's happening. So we will have the jump start on everyone. Everyone will be a year behind by the time they hear about it.
That's where we like to be. What's really interesting about the Portugal play that you're mentioning now is the fact that you can kind of compare. It's almost, I don't want to say that you've got any proof or, that there's any
There's
guarantee.
no
Of course,
guarantees.
we hate words like that when it comes to investing, but it is really interesting that you can make a very good, very strong case for a correlation between these towns and specific developments that saw these massive booms because of the golden visa. And now, as you're saying, the focus is shifting, which is maybe a little bit annoying for those who were already in Portugal, already scouting around. They might have had to shift their focus as well if they were looking at the wrong areas, as it turns out, for this year. But
Well,
it does turn the spotlight on just so much of Portugal. And as I think, as most of our watchers and listeners and readers know, there's so many good things to say about Portugal. It's been our number one retirement haven for years now. At each year, a different part of the country will shine a spotlight on. And this year it's a little town called Comporta near Lisbon. And so actually, I'm interested now that I've mentioned Comporta. What does Comporta fall into any of the golden visa zones? I imagine it's a high density area, I would think.
it's high density, I believe so. No, the golden visa focus is now pulling back from the coastlines and the major cities, and people are being encouraged to invest in more interior areas where there's less development. And you mentioned just there briefly that it might be a bit off-putting for people who were searching in one area and now the rules have changed. But what really happens now is all the areas people were searching for golden visa investments, the capital appreciation has been so strong over the last decade. I mean, the value just wasn't there anymore. I mean, prices have become overinflated, and people who are looking for visas were being forced to spend a lot more to get a visa. And now that the focus is pushed inland a bit, you can still get great value properties. You can still golden visa threshold has been reduced down to 280,000 euros in the less dense areas. That's from 500,000 euros. That's more than a 40% drop in the amount you'd have to invest to get a golden visa. So from another point of view, it's a great opportunity to get your golden visa, but have better value investments as well. So that's
That's a great point. Yeah, and I mean, hopefully that means that maybe in another 5 or 10 years, some of the coastline prices will have come down a little bit and maybe reflect a more realistic value.
well, yeah, they won't have been overhyped or overdriven
Right.
by people just investing for a golden visa. So yeah, this whole change is going to open up Portugal, all of Portugal, not just a select strip to
Right.
invest. But it'll be
Right.
good
Well,
for
that's
everybody.
that's great. I'm excited to see what more Portugal has to offer because we, as much as we love Portugal, we haven't explored the interior of the country that much. So that'll be a really exciting development to see taking place over the next couple of years. On the other hand, as well known as Portugal is at this point, and as much as we've talked about it, as much as we can't say enough good things about it, and I'm sure some people might be sick of hearing the name Portugal because they've heard it so much from us over the past few years. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got Montenegro, which is a bit of a breakout country. Not entirely. We have been talking about Montenegro for a few years now. Leaf and Kathleen have visited several times over the past couple decades. One of our editors, Sophia Titley, our editorial director, and also the editor of our Overseas Living Letter, she went there, I think, just a few months ago in late 2021 and set up a whole issue. So if you are interested in Montenegro to learn more, we have plenty of resources for you. So it's not an entirely new destination, but it's probably a place that people aren't as familiar with, certainly don't know as much about as they probably do about Portugal. So what can you tell us about Montenegro to whet our appetites?
Yeah, well, Montenegro is a very interesting one, really. You're right. It's the name Montenegro has kind of gotten out there in retiree and investor circles, but people don't know much about the country. People think Montenegro, it sounds Eastern European.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit, on the edge, or a little bit kind of frontierish, but it really isn't. I mean, Montenegro has been adopted by the uber wealthy, the ultra wealthy from the Middle East and Central Europe as a new destination, really, and they're keeping it quiet. I mean, there's great value to be found in Montenegro from properties down the price points are very low. What you're finding is it's attracting a huge swath, a wide range of investors, everything from people who are looking for less than 100,000 euro investments and residencies in a European country, to multi-billionaires who choose to. I mean, this was it. The Saudi royal family have moved all their yachts to harbor them in Montenegro.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
That's a crazy claim
billionaires.
to fame.
It is, and you got to kind of watch these places when people like that. People with that type of money are moving into Montenegro quietly, and not telling everyone about it. It's really time to pay attention. These guys are obviously hugely security conscious, hugely investment conscious. There's there's people whose names you'd recognize there are quietly getting residency in Montenegro because it isn't some Eastern European backwater. What it really is proving itself to be a very high quality. It's a small country, small population. They're doing a very good job at regulating who's coming in and regulating the type of investment that's coming into Montenegro. What's very interesting is Montenegro in 2025 is slated to join the EU, which means
I was
anyone.
just looking that up because I was going to ask you, do you know if Montenegro is already in the EU? So I just looked that up as well.
Yeah, no, it's scheduled to come in 2025. It's going through all the processes to get that, and currently it's hitting all the economic targets. It is one of the only country in the region that's on the waiting list to join the EU that's hitting the economic targets of economic growth that it needs to prove its stability. So Montenegro is in pole position to join the EU, and once it does, suddenly a Montenegrin passport or residency will go from being an attractive add-on to being an exceptionally valuable asset to have. You'll have
That's a great point. Yeah.
you'll have access to 440 million customers in the European Union. You'll have a passport that is possibly nearly one of the best passports you can have in the world. It will open up a huge range of possibilities to anyone who's holding even Montenegrin residency, which you can get by buying property in Montenegro.
That
So
was
it
my
really,
next question. So, all of these paths to either residency or citizenship, they are actually available through investment. What is
yes.
the minimum amount in?
Uh, I'm not sure there is a specific minimum. It is very small. Sorry, I have it. Sorry,
No problem. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just curious because I haven't heard of this program.
it's a very low qualification. I will get you the
Okay, yeah,
number.
no, it's just interesting because Europe has become very good at developing these programs to bring in investors for residency or citizenship, and I haven't heard of Montenegro's, which means it must be very new and hopefully very attractive.
It is, and especially once, say, once you join the EU, that the strength of having an EU passport will be a huge bonus. And I say at a low price point, it has an awful lot going for it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you for that little introduction. And last on your list for the year are two real up and comers for us. We're kind of just laying the foundations this year in order to hopefully, dig in deeper in the years to come. The Philippines and Morocco are on your list. So
Yes,
these I guess the Philippines may seem a little bit more mainstream, but Morocco for sure, I'm sure sounds a little bit out of left field to people. So tell us why we're choosing now to look at both of these countries and what they might be offering right now.
yeah. Well, both of them are very exciting. I mean, in fact, though these are the ones I'm really. They're so different to the other offerings that we usually do. I'm really excited to check these out, and specifically Morocco. I mean, Morocco is a strange one. I spent some time in Morocco on business nearly 20 years ago now, and I was blown away with the country. I was around Agadir in Morocco for about a month, and it was really a stunning place, beautiful beaches, exceptionally low cost of living. But 20 years ago, it just wasn't there. It was only getting moving. It hadn't really ticked all the boxes. It really needs to be recommended as a strong play. But now you've got Morocco, which is a huge. It's on the African continent, but it is a stone's throw, literally a stone's throw away from Spain. It's
Right.
less than 10 kilometers over the Straits of Gibraltar to Spain. It is a huge economy, a huge country, parked right on the borders of Europe. It has got preferential trading agreements with Europe. Morocco is booming from a point of view of agriculture at the moment. It can't supply Europe fast enough with food and food products. There's tourism is the largest foreign earner for Morocco at the moment. It is tourism. As I say, once again, it's got more sunny days than Southern California. It's a stable country. It's a very low cost country. It's only a few minutes from mainland Europe. People want to fly there. And it's just really coming into its own. They're securing trade deals with the EU. We're not talking about it ever joining the European Union, but it is being brought into the fold of the European economic umbrella because it is right there. It's stable, and it does more. It trades more with the European Union than the next 10 nations in Northern Africa. I mean,
Oh,
it's
wow.
really aligned itself, and there's some great developments going on in Morocco at the moment, and we're hearing more and more about great rental opportunities. Buy to let opportunities you can get in Morocco. So there's a lot going on there, and that's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out where the best deals are in Morocco. It's a huge country; not everywhere will be booming in the next 5 years. So we're going to spend a lot of time researching that, identifying the areas, identifying the development partners. And really teasing out these details, and we'll bring them to our readers, in mid to the third quarter of this year.
Of course, yeah, no, it's definitely it's not an easy it's not like opening a book to a certain page. You've got to go in, you've got to skim through, you've got to really give
Well,
it your time.
that's the
That
problem.
sounds so exciting. Morocco is the top of my travel list. I almost went there for my honeymoon, but then I thought maybe it wasn't the best place to go, and you might be displaying a little bit of PDA. Um, but yeah, I actually am hoping that there's a chance I'll get to Morocco sometime this year as well. So I definitely am wholeheartedly behind this enterprise.
Yeah.
So
And
what about the Philippines? There's what's going on over there?
The Philippines too. I mean, is another really exciting one. About as different in culture as you could probably find anywhere in the world to our to our Western lifestyle. But the Philippines, it's a long history with the United States. It's it consists of over 7,000 islands in Southeast Asia. The US has got it's got a long history and ties to the Philippines. There's still strong connections between the Philippines and the USA. I mean, politically, it went a bit weird there over the last several years, but
Yeah.
Americans and all that. But Americans are still moving there. They're still loving it there. There people we talk to say, well, all that's happening out there. There's political stuff, and that doesn't affect us. We're just enjoying our lives here. It's got fantastic weather, really welcoming people, very, very reasonable entry points into the real estate markets there. It seems to have ticked all the lifestyle boxes for retiree investors. So we'll be heading down there. There'll be a lot of research to be done. 7,000 islands, and it's not something we've covered previously.
Right.
So we were spending months and months going into deep detail in the Philippines because everything's different over there. The legal systems are different. You know, you got to start from scratch. And as you said yourself, with Morocco, there's no book we can flick open and get this information. We compile this information, and other people copy our books and steal from our material. So we've got to go this year and spend the year researching and building this knowledge resource. And you will find in 12 and 18 months, the other guys will taking pages out of our books and copying what we're saying now. So,
right, there were a couple years there where nobody but us was talking about Portugal. Everybody's talking about Portugal these days, but there were a good couple of years in there where we were the only ones talking about it.
And everyone follows. 2 years later, then everyone's talking about it, and we're moving on to new places to check them out and see if they're offering the same opportunities that Portugal did 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's the goal anyway, and hopefully the world doesn't disappoint. So I know that's it for your personal travel agenda for this year, at least when it comes to real estate scouting for Live and Invest Overseas. But of course, you're not the only real estate scout we've got working out there. Our Latin America correspondent, Lee Harrison, is pounding the pavement over in Latin America. He is living, I would say most of the time. He does spend a little bit of time back in the US these days with his grandkids, but he spends most of his time in Mexico. So that's his beat, and he is very well versed in it. And so he's going to be checking out some parts of Mexico that we haven't been focusing on. Mexico is by no means a new destination. It is probably as mainstream as you could possibly get when it comes to real estate investment outside of the United States or retirement outside of the United States. But Lee is intrepid in finding places before, as you know, Khan's been saying, before the crowd sets in. So Lee is going to be telling us a little bit more about Mexico in the coming year. He's also going to be checking out Colombia and Brazil, where he also has had a lot of experience living and investing, and is going to be working with some of our developers there on the ground and some of our other correspondents and real estate experts there to find out what parts of Brazil and Colombia might be, just up and coming. It might be the time for us to get in on the ground floor there. And on this side of the pond, it won't be Lee Harrison, but Leif Simon, our, the head of our real estate scouting committee, will be checking out Northern Cyprus and Dubai later this year. I'm hoping to tag along on that Northern Cyprus trip, so we might be getting some videos from Northern Cyprus. And unfortunately, I don't think Khan is going to be with us on those trips. Maybe he will be, but
we can live in hope. But Northern Cyprus is another really exciting one, Kat. I just sold a villa I had in southern Cyprus there about 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
3 or 4 years ago, and I could have bought 3 villas in Northern Cyprus for the same price. I'm not sure if maybe our listeners don't know that they've opened the border between the two of them over the last several years, and now Northern Cyprus basically is now catching up on 20 years lost capital appreciation. So Northern Cyprus is booming, and you can pick properties up for pennies on the dollar compared to the south, and there is no difference. The climate, the weather, the roads, the language, The culture is exactly the same. So now is a real boom time to be checking out Northern Cyprus.
We've been wanting to get down there for years now because I mean we've seen it coming. We know that this boom is in the offing, and there's just so much to be interested in Cyprus. And as you say, it is an island separated into a northern and southern split, but it's one island. It all has the same to offer in terms of sun and culture and whatever it is that you're looking for out of an island lifestyle or investment. So plenty to be had there. And I'm not going to get into Dubai right now because we're running out of time, but hopefully in the coming weeks, I will be interviewing both Lee and Leaf about their respective areas of focus and bringing you some more details about the markets that they're focused on. But thank you so much today, Khan, for walking us through your travel schedule. And I'm definitely going to be keeping up with you throughout the year and asking for some interviews from, on-site videos and interviews. And
I'd be delighted, Kat. I'm really excited about checking out these spots, especially the new ones that I haven't been to before. It's going to be a good year.
All these places in the sun, you're going to have a hard time getting back to Ireland after this.
Okay. Well, it's raining outside at the moment. I can't wait. I'm half packed for the next week already.
All right. Well, thanks very much for speaking with us today, Khan, and good luck packing. I'll see you in Paris.
Okay. Thanks, Kat. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.